First of all, brother Chris, just know that the labor movement across the country have been thinking about you and your community, um, and all the members there, everyone who's been affected. Just because you don't hear about it on the news as much as you did. We it's top of mind for so many folks, and I want to give hats off to the Lee County labor chapter, and like Kerry Duncan, who kind of floats in between Des Moines Henry and Lee and all over southeast Iowa. But they are a small but mighty group that has been really working on a lot of these issues that don't just that doesn't just affect Iowans. This is a national issue, and the reason why I say it's so much bigger. I know we're talking about rail, but this is so much bigger when it comes to health and safety. I think that if we could have taken, I mean, there's plenty of lessons to take away from the pandemic, but especially after watching what I sometimes refer to as um, the meat packing plant horror show that went across the Midwest here during 2020, excuse me, and during the pandemic. I think that one of the things that we needed to learn from that, short discussion before this, is that community health and safety and worker health and safety are inseparable. What happens at work doesn't necessarily, the health problems, workplace safety problems that happen at the job site, at whatever your job is, whatever your work is, it doesn't stay there. It affects the entire community. Um, you know, I and what is so disgusting to so many of us about all of this. So when it comes down to it, the common thread that goes through, whether it's Norfolk Southern or any of the rail companies, or whether we're talking about, say, Tyson in the meatpacking in example that I'm using here right now. Or I mean, my dog's chasing the cat. It's corporate greed. And that's what it all comes down to. Corporate greed is absolutely not just putting workers in danger, but corporate greed is what is putting the entire country, our communities, in danger. Um, just and a couple of Iowans have heard me tell this story before, but at kind of at the height of the meatpacking plant outbreaks here, we at the state fed here in Iowa, along with the UFCW, we met with our governor, and we probably for at least a half hour, if not longer, laid out, and this was like late April of 2020. So it was just getting going. And we laid out every single possible thing that we could think of, knowing the information that we knew at the time, to help make things safer inside meatpacking plants. And not only did our governor ignore us, probably her and told Tyson and the other packers to do pretty much the opposite. And then maybe about 2 days later, flew out to Washington and asked President Trump to invoke the National Production Act, to send those workers back into the plants. I can take you to a spot in a parking lot where somebody came off of their shift in Waterloo, Iowa, and collapsed and died. It doesn't need to be this way. I don't care what industry you're talking about, whether Chris, you've been doing really, really dangerous work and tough work as a pipeliner. Whether we're talking about, like I said, working in conditions and pandemics, a total disregard for the working class of this country. And it's all for just so billionaires can make more billions. So I want to say thank you to everybody on this call who is working in whatever capacity they can. The I'll just end with this. The legislation that was referenced, when I called our national AFL-CIO to see, okay, where are we at? Do we support this or not? And they actually said, yeah, we do support it, but we think it needs to be better. There are some issues with it that we think need to be better for workers. Now, I mean, that doesn't mean that we wouldn't want to see the Stafford Act passed. Don't get me wrong, but we need to fight as hard as we can, because that Workers' Memorial Day list seems to get longer every single year on April 28th.